There's a moment every man experiences, usually around 2 a.m. when sleep won't come. The room is dark, the silence is heavy, and your mind won't stop replaying the same scenes on a loop. Conversations where you said the right things but felt the wrong energy. Moments where she smiled but her eyes were somewhere else. Nights where you were physically together but emotionally, she'd already left the building. You lie there wondering when it all shifted. When did trying to love her correctly become the exact thing that made her pull away? Most men spend years trying to decode this. They read articles about communication styles. They ask friends what they did wrong. They apologize for things they can't even name. And the painful truth, the one that takes most men a lifetime to learn, is that everything you were taught about women, about love, about how to be a good man in a relationship, was designed to make you easier to control, not easier to respect. The world sold you a script. Be kind, be patient, be understanding, sacrifice your needs, prove your worth through service, love harder when she pulls away. And if you do all of this perfectly, she'll see your value and choose you forever. But here's what they didn't tell you. Women don't fall in love with the man who sacrifices the most. They fall in love with the man who requires the least convincing of his own worth. And that difference, that single distinction, is where most men lose everything. Let me be real with you. The reason most men struggle with women isn't because they're not good enough. It's because they've been conditioned to measure their value by how much they give, instead of how centered they remain. You were taught that love is about effort, about showing up, about doing more, saying more, proving more. And every time you increased your effort and watched her respect decrease, you thought the problem was you weren't trying hard enough. But the trap isn't that you didn't give enough. The trap is that you gave from a place of need instead of overflow. Women can feel that difference the moment you walk into a room. It's not something you say, it's something you radiate. And when a man operates from scarcity, when his happiness depends on her mood, his confidence depends on her validation, his peace depends on her presence, she feels it like humidity in the air. Heavy, suffocating, desperate. And desperation, no matter how well dressed or articulate, kills attraction faster than any mistake you could make. Here's the part that breaks men. You thought being emotionally available meant sharing your fears, your doubts, your need for her. And the moment you did, you watched something imperceptible shift in her eyes. Not immediately, not dramatically, but like a window left slightly open in winter, letting cold air seep in 1 degree at a time, until suddenly you're shivering and you can't remember when the warmth disappeared. What you didn't understand, what nobody tells young men, is that emotional availability doesn't mean emotional dependency. It means you can feel deeply without needing her to fix what you feel. It means you can be vulnerable without collapsing. It means you can love her fully while remaining complete without her. That's the frequency women are actually attracted to. Not the man who needs her, the man who chooses her. And there's a grand canyon of difference between the two. You've seen it play out. The friend who bent himself into shapes trying to keep his girlfriend happy, only to watch her leave him for someone who barely texted back. The colleague who gave up his hobbies, his friends, his entire identity to become the perfect boyfriend, only to hear, "I don't feel the spark anymore." The brother who apologized for things he didn't do, accommodated behavior he shouldn't have tolerated, and sacrificed boundaries he should have protected, all in the name of love. And she still left, not because he wasn't good enough, but because he stopped being himself. Women don't consciously plan this. They don't wake up thinking, "Today I'll lose respect for the man who loves me most." It happens beneath the surface of awareness. It's biological, psychological, woven into the fabric of attraction itself. When a man constantly seeks her approval, constantly adjusts his behavior to keep her happy, constantly prioritizes her emotional state over his own center, he stops being the man she chose. He becomes a mirror reflecting her back to herself. And nobody falls in love with their own reflection. This is where most men get lost. They think maintaining attraction means doing more dates, more gifts, more reassurance, more availability. So they increase their investment, hoping it will reignite something dying. But what they don't realize is that the very act of trying harder confirms what she's already sensing, that he values her more than he values himself. And that imbalance, that energetic desperation, is what pushes her further away. Here's the truth that nobody prepared you for. The moment you make a woman the center of your universe, she begins drifting towards the edge of it. Not because she's cruel, not because she doesn't appreciate your effort, but because she's wired to seek strength, and a man who orbits around her emotional weather patterns doesn't feel strong. He feels reactive, dependent, controllable, and controllable men don't inspire desire. They inspire comfort, then boredom, then quiet contempt. Let's go deeper, to the layer most men never reach because it's too uncomfortable to face. Women test men. Not with malicious intent, but with the same instinct a child tests the stability of a bridge before crossing. She needs to know if your frame, your sense of self, your emotional foundation, your unshakable core, is real or performance. She needs to know if the confidence you displayed when you met her can withstand her storms, her moods, her doubts, her fears. So she pushes. She withdraws affection to see if you'll panic. She picks unnecessary fights to see if you'll stay calm. She creates drama to see if you'll get swept into the current or remain anchored to solid ground. And every single time you react with desperation. Every time you chase when she pulls away, explain when she accuses, apologize when you've done nothing wrong. You fail the test. Not because you're weak, but because you're operating from fear instead of clarity. The man who understands this doesn't take her tests personally. He doesn't see them as attacks. He recognizes them for what they are, invitations to prove his stability. So when she withdraws, he doesn't chase. He matches her distance with calm presence. When she argues emotionally, he doesn't argue back. He listens, clarifies, and refuses to be pulled into chaos. When she questions his commitment, he doesn't defend with words. He demonstrates with consistent behavior. That's what separates men who keep attraction alive from men who watch it die slowly, painfully, in real time. Because women don't fall in love with your explanations. They fall in love with your energy. And your energy speaks louder than any promise you could make. But there's another reason, a deeper one, that most men miss entirely because it requires facing something dark about modern relationships. Women are not primarily attracted to goodness. They're attracted to strength. And goodness without strength looks like weakness wearing a halo. You were the good guy. You listened when she needed to vent. You cancelled plans to be there for her. You prioritized her needs above your own mission. You thought kindness was the ultimate aphrodisiac. And for a while, maybe it was. She appreciated you. She told you that you were different from other guys. She said you made her feel safe. But safety without tension is just comfort. And comfort, given enough time, becomes suffocation. What you didn't realize is that women need polarity to feel alive in a relationship. They need the electric charge that comes from masculine directions meeting feminine flow. They need to feel your gravitational pull, the sense that you're moving through life with purpose so strong that she wants to come along for the journey. But when you abandoned your mission to become her emotional support system, when you stopped leading your own life and started managing hers, you killed that polarity. You became her therapist, her best friend, her emotional janitor, and none of those roles inspire sexual desire. Here's what men learn too late. A woman can love you, appreciate you, even depend on you, and still lose attraction to you. Because attraction isn't logical, it's energetic. It's felt in the body, not decided in the mind. And the moment she stops feeling that masculine pull, the moment your presence becomes predictable, accommodating, need-based, her body stops responding to you the way it once did. She doesn't choose this consciously. It just happens. Like a compass needle pointing north, her attraction recalibrates toward whatever energy feels most centered, most certain, most unmoved by her emotional tides. And if that's not you anymore, she'll start to drift. And here's the cruelest part, the layer that shatters men when they finally see it. She doesn't just lose attraction and leave. She rewrites the entire story. You remember the relationship one way, the late night conversations where she said you were her soulmate, the moments she cried in your arms and told you she'd never felt safer, the plans you made together about the future. You remember her saying, "I love you" first. You remember her chasing you in the beginning, the way her eyes lit up when you walked into a room. But in her mind, none of that exists anymore. Not the way you remember it. Women have an ability that most men don't understand until it's too late. They can emotionally detach from a relationship months before their body follows. And during that detachment, something psychological happens. Something that will make you question your own sanity when you finally discover it. Her brain begins retroactively editing the entire story of your relationship to justify what she's about to do. The moments where she said you were everything she ever wanted. In her revised version, she was just caught up in the moment, convincing herself of something that wasn't real. The nights where she clung to you, where she made you promise you'd never leave. She was insecure, desperate, not thinking clearly. The future you planned together, she never actually wanted that. She was just going along with your fantasy. This is what destroys men after the breakup. It's not just that she left. It's that she left and convinced herself, genuinely convinced herself, that what you had was never real to begin with. She'll tell friends, I never really loved him the way I should have. She'll say, looking back, I was settling. She'll claim, the red flags were always there, I just ignored them. And the most devastating part, she actually believes it. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance reduction. When a woman's actions, leaving you, conflict with her self-image as being a good person, her brain automatically rewrites the narrative to eliminate the guilt. She can't be the villain who abandoned a good man and a loving relationship. So unconsciously, you stop being a good man, and the relationship stops being loving. In her reconstructed memory, you were always inadequate. She was always unhappy, and leaving was always inevitable. That's why she can walk away with such ease while you're still bleeding. That's why she can be in someone else's arms 2 weeks later, while you're replaying every conversation trying to understand what went wrong. That's why she can look you in the eyes and say, I haven't felt anything for a long time, when just a month ago she was planning your future together. She's not lying to hurt you. She's lying to protect herself. Her brain has already moved on, already rewritten the story, already cast you as a chapter she's relieved to close rather than a love she lost. And the man who doesn't understand this will spend years trying to remind her of what you had, trying to prove that it was real, trying to make her remember the version of the relationship that still exists in his heart. But you can't argue with revised history. You can't logic someone out of a story they've emotionally committed to believing. The only way forward is accepting a brutal truth. The woman who leaves isn't the woman you fell in love with. That woman already disappeared months ago. What's walking away now is just the body catching up to where the heart relocated long before you even noticed. The saddest part is how invisible this process is to the man living through it. He notices small things. She's less affectionate. Sex becomes routine, then infrequent, then something she's too tired for. Conversations that used to flow now feel like interviews. She's suddenly busier, more distracted, more interested in her phone than in him. And he responds the only way he knows how, by trying harder. More romantic gestures, more quality time, more conversations about what's wrong, more reassurance that he's here, he cares, he's not going anywhere. But what he's actually doing is confirming her unconscious suspicion that he needs this relationship more than she does. And that neediness, no matter how beautifully packaged as devotion, is the death of desire. Psychology shows that when a relationship becomes the primary source of a man's validation, purpose, and emotional stability, he unconsciously shifts into a state of constant anxiety. He begins monitoring her mood like a weather system. He adjusts his behavior based on her emotional temperature. He walks on eggshells, trying not to upset the delicate balance. And she feels all of it. She feels his anxiety masquerading as attentiveness. She feels his fear masquerading as love. She feels his need masquerading as devotion. And the more she feels it, the less she respects him. Not because she's shallow, but because respect is earned through self-possession, not self-abandonment. A woman respects a man who has something more important than her, a mission, a purpose, a vision so compelling that she has to earn her place in his life rather than becoming the center of it. And the brutal truth is that most men lose that mission the moment they enter a relationship. They think love means merging into one person. But it actually means remaining two complete people who choose each other from a place of wholeness, not lack. When you stop building your life and start managing hers, you become less interesting, less attractive, less necessary. You become the man she settles for instead of the man she chases. And once you become that man, the relationship is already over. It just hasn't been officially pronounced dead yet. Here's the twist, the part that changes everything once you finally see it. The problem was never about what you did or didn't do. It was about who you became when you entered the relationship. You transformed from a man with direction into a man seeking direction from her. You went from leading your life to living in reaction to hers. You stopped being the prize and started competing for validation. And the moment that shift happened, the power dynamic inverted. She no longer had to win you. You were already won. She no longer had to chase your attention. You gave it freely, desperately, without her needing to earn it. She no longer wondered if you'd stay. She knew you would, no matter how poorly she treated you. That's what kills relationships. Not conflict, not distance, not even betrayal in some cases. What kills them is the absence of uncertainty, the death of mystery, the suffocation of knowing that no matter what she does, you'll always be there. Always accommodating, always forgiving, always waiting. Because human beings, men and women alike, value what they have to work for. And when you made yourself completely available, completely malleable, completely dependent on her happiness, you became too easy to have. And what's too easy to have eventually becomes too easy to lose. What men don't realize until they've been through this cycle multiple times is that attraction is not sustained through effort. It's sustained through energy. Think about the men women obsess over, not the ones they settle down with out of practicality, but the ones who occupy space in their minds years after the relationship ends. Those men weren't necessarily kinder, more successful, or better looking. But they had one thing in common. They were unmoved by female approval. They didn't chase when she pulled away. They didn't panic when she threatened to leave. They didn't rearrange their entire lives to accommodate her moods. They remained centered, grounded, self-possessed. And that unshakable energy, that refusal to be controlled by someone else's emotions, is what made them unforgettable. Not because they were perfect, but because they were unbreakable. A man who can't be manipulated through guilt, controlled through emotional withdrawal, or influenced through drama is a man who occupies a different psychological category. He's not the safe option. He's the rare one. And rare things are always valued higher than available things. This is why you see women stay in situations that logic says they should leave. Why they chase men who treat them inconsistently while taking for granted the ones who worship them. It's not because they're masochistic. It's because their attraction responds to energy, not effort. And the energy of a man who doesn't need them is intoxicating in a way that devotion never will be. That's the dark truth nobody wants to admit. Devotion without boundaries is just dependence in disguise. And dependence is the opposite of attraction. So where does this leave you? If everything you were taught was wrong, if effort doesn't equal love, if sacrifice doesn't guarantee loyalty, what are you supposed to do? The answer is simpler than you think, but harder than anything you've ever done. Stop seeking her approval and start reclaiming your center. Stop orbiting around her emotional world and start building your own. Stop measuring your worth by how much she needs you, and start measuring it by how complete you are without her. Stop chasing validation, reassurance, and reciprocation. Build a life so fulfilling that her presence enhances it, but her absence doesn't destroy it. That's the shift. That's the transformation. That's what separates boys from men, simps from kings, desperate from desired. A man who knows himself doesn't need to explain himself. A man who values his peace doesn't tolerate chaos. A man who understands his worth doesn't negotiate for scraps of affection. He walks through life with quiet confidence, unmoved by emotional manipulation, unbothered by tests, unshaken by storms. And that energy, That calm, centered, self-possessed energy is what draws women in and keeps them there. Not because you're playing games, not because you're withholding love, but because you've finally stopped betraying yourself to keep someone else comfortable. What men learn too late but never forget is this. The version of you that needs her will never be the version she respects. The version that chases her will never be the version she desires. The version that sacrifices his identity to keep her happy will never be the version she stays loyal to. But the version of you that remains whole, that stays rooted in purpose, that refuses to collapse under emotional pressure. That's the version she'll think about years later. That's the version she'll compare every other man to. That's the version she'll regret losing. So stop performing, stop explaining, stop convincing, start embodying. Embody strength, embody discipline, embody peace. Build yourself until chasing feels like an insult to your potential. Because once you truly understand your worth, the world doesn't just notice, it rearranges itself around you. That's when you realize you were never meant to chase love. You were meant to become the kind of man love chases. And when you finally become that man, when you stand firmly in who you are with unshakable clarity, no woman will ever play games with your peace again. Not because you've controlled her, but because you've mastered yourself. That's the power most men never touch. But now you know. So remember this. You don't win by convincing her you're worth it. You win by becoming so undeniably grounded that she convinces herself. Build your empire. Protect your energy. Choose yourself first. Because the moment you stop seeking validation from women is the moment you become irresistible to them. Not because you're manipulating, because you're finally free. If this hit different, share it with a man who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more truth that the world won't tell you. And most importantly, take this knowledge and build something unshakable with it. Because your transformation doesn't start when she sees your worth. It starts when you do.